For 228 years, no one dared to open the ancient chamber that lay hidden deep beneath the island. Time passed, centuries changed, and the world moved on, but that door remained sealed in silence. It was said that whoever tried to uncover what was beneath either vanished or met a strange end. And yet, curiosity has always been stronger than fear. So when modern technology arrived and scanners started picking up signals of metal and energy deep underground, a team of experts decided it was finally time to find out what had been kept locked away for so long. The day the excavation began, the air around the site felt heavy. Even the sea breeze that usually brushed through the island felt still. Massive cranes, lights, and camera systems were set up around the area. The team wasn't just made of archaeologists. There were engineers, scientists, and technicians. Every one of them carried a sense of anticipation mixed with quiet dread. The government had granted them limited access, but with strict conditions. Whatever they found had to be recorded carefully and sent for review before it was made public. No one knew why such restrictions existed on an island that had been abandoned for centuries, but the team moved forward. As the digging began, strange things started happening almost immediately. Electronic tools began to glitch, sensors gave unusual readings, and the temperature dropped sharply, as if the ground was breathing out cold air. The workers continued digging layer after layer until the tip of a large metallic structure began to appear. It wasn't stone. It was something else, something that reflected the sunlight like gold, but gave off a faint reddish hue. When the dust cleared, a huge circular surface became visible, covered with symbols and markings that didn't belong to any known culture. The leader of the team, an experienced archaeologist, placed his hand on the surface and said softly, "This is not a natural formation. Someone built this, with purpose." His words sent a chill through everyone. The door wasn't just made of metal, it was part of a mechanism. They could hear faint vibrations from within, like a heartbeat echoing beneath the ground. When the laser cutter was finally activated, bright sparks filled the air. The smell of burnt metal mixed with the salty breeze from the ocean. Everyone stood back, watching as blue beams cut through the solid surface. Slowly, cracks began to form, and from inside those cracks came a low, deep sound, almost like a sigh. The sound didn't seem mechanical, it felt alive. Then, as the final piece of the door gave way, a rush of air burst out from inside, spreading a fine dust across the entire site. Cameras shook, the lights flickered, and for a moment everyone was blinded by a soft golden glow. When the light faded, they saw it. A chamber unlike anything seen before. The walls glowed faintly, made of some unknown metal that seemed to hum with energy. Strange symbols and patterns lined the walls, glowing softly as if aware that someone had entered after all these years. The floor was covered with circular markings, geometric lines, and triangles that connected like a map. In the middle of the chamber stood a massive golden box, about 4 feet long, resting on a pedestal of black stone. The box looked ancient, but was in perfect condition. Around it were copper circles embedded in the floor, and a faint hum could be heard. The air felt charged, and the magnetic sensors started beeping uncontrollably. One of the engineers stepped forward and checked the readings. "The energy levels are unstable," he said. "It's like this thing is alive." Everyone gathered around, studying the object from every angle. The box had strange carvings, spirals, waves, and symbols that seemed to shift subtly when the light hit them. A historian in the team whispered, "These aren't random markings. This looks like a language, but not one from Earth as we know it." His words echoed across the chamber. The leader frowned. "Then what is it?" The historian hesitated. "It could be something from a lost civilization, or something that predates all known human history." The atmosphere inside the chamber grew tense. The copper circles around the box began to glow faintly red, and the instruments picked up a low magnetic field pulsing in rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. When one of the technicians tried to scan the box with a handheld device, the screen immediately went blank. The device had shut down. "It doesn't want to be scanned," someone said, half-jokingly, but no one laughed. Hours passed as the team recorded every detail. They took photos, videos, and even samples of the surrounding stone. But everyone's eyes kept returning to that box in the center, the source of the hum, the mystery, the reason they were all there. Finally, the team leader made the call. We open it, carefully. Protective gear was put on, cameras were positioned closer, and a robotic arm was prepared to lift the box's lid. The silence in the chamber was unbearable. Every breath could be heard echoing through the metal walls. The robotic arm extended, locked onto the side of the lid, and began to lift. But before it could move even an inch, the air temperature suddenly dropped again. Frost began to form on the walls, and the humming grew louder. "Power off!" shouted the engineer. The machine stopped, but the sound continued. It wasn't coming from the tools anymore. It was coming from the box itself. The lights flickered again. The copper rings glowed bright orange, and a faint blue spark shot across the floor. Then, for a brief second, everyone saw something unbelievable. The symbols on the box shifted, rearranging themselves like a code being rewritten. The historian gasped. "It's reacting." The leader stared at the box. "Reacting to what?" Then came the voice, faint, mechanical, almost a whisper. The word was simple. "Stop." It echoed through the entire chamber. The cameras recorded the sound, but the wave pattern on the audio showed something strange. It wasn't just a voice. It carried frequency patterns layered like a digital signal. It was as if something intelligent was speaking from within the box. The team backed away slowly, unsure what to do next. But curiosity won again. Hours later, after confirming that no radiation or toxic gas was leaking, the team decided to try once more. This time, instead of using machines, the leader approached manually. Wearing gloves, he touched the side of the box. The moment his fingers made contact, a blinding flash of light filled the room. The cameras went blank. All machines shut down at once. A strong gust of air blew through the chamber, almost knocking everyone to the ground. When the power returned, the man was lying on the floor. His pulse was racing, his hands trembling. "He felt something," he said weakly. "It was like electricity, but alive. It entered me." Everyone stared at him in silence. The symbols on the box were now glowing bright gold, pulsing like a living heart. The hum had changed, deeper, slower, and rhythmic. The scientists began analyzing the readings. What they found was beyond logic. The electromagnetic field around the box had formed a perfect symmetrical wave pattern, not random, not natural. It was structured like a signal. "It's sending data," said one of the researchers. "But to where?" The AI mapping software tried to decode the pattern, and what appeared on the monitor looked like coordinates, but not of any place on Earth. The data indicated deep space. The historian and the team stepped closer and whispered, "This isn't a box, it's a beacon." Over the next few hours, the team worked nonstop. They scanned, recorded, and analyzed every symbol on the walls. The geometric patterns on the floor also appeared to match the signal frequency. It seemed as if the entire chamber was designed as one system. The walls, the floor, and the box were all parts of a single mechanism. The copper circles weren't just decoration, they acted like shields containing the energy inside. The deeper they studied, the clearer it became that this chamber wasn't built as a tomb or a temple. It was a containment zone. The purpose wasn't to protect the box, but to protect the world from whatever was inside it. Then the ground scanner detected something else, another hollow structure directly beneath the chamber. The reading showed a perfectly circular room about 40 feet below with a tall metallic object in its center. It was as if the box was only the key and the real secret lay deeper underground. But before the team could continue, everything changed. Their communication radios went dead, the satellite link disconnected, a loud rumble came from above. When they rushed to the surface, the sight before them froze their blood. A convoy of military trucks approaching fast, headlights cutting through the dust. Within minutes, dozens of soldiers surrounded the site. No one spoke a word. An officer simply announced, "This area is now under government control. Everyone step away." The team protested, but it didn't matter. All recordings, data drives, and samples were confiscated. Cameras were seized, and the chamber was sealed once again. Within hours, the entire site was covered with metal fencing and warning signs were placed around it. Restricted zone, radiation hazard. But everyone knew that wasn't the real reason. Days later, news spread across the world. Leaked footage began appearing online, short clips showing the glowing box, the flash of light, and the team running for cover.
The government denied everything, calling it fake, but people weren't convinced. Conspiracy theories flooded the internet. Some said the box was an ancient reactor, a power source from a forgotten civilization. Others claimed it was alien technology left behind thousands of years ago. A few even believed it was a divine object, a piece of creation itself. Rumors spread that the box had been moved to a secret underground facility where scientists were still studying it. Some locals claimed they saw a blue light glowing at night from the island, followed by strange vibrations in the ground. Even satellites stopped showing the area clearly. Images became blurred, as if something was deliberately hidden. A few months later, one of the archaeologists who had worked on the project tried to hold a press conference, but it was suddenly canceled. He vanished soon after. The others were forced to sign confidentiality agreements. None of them ever spoke publicly again. But whispers continued. Some said the box had started emitting signals again, signals that no one could trace. Online, theories multiplied. Some believed the box was a communication device from an ancient extraterrestrial civilization. Others thought it was a time capsule, a warning left for future generations. A few even suggested it was a prison, a containment vessel meant to hold something that should never be released. Then came the leaked video. Only a few seconds long, but it changed everything. The footage showed the golden box glowing bright, the symbols flashing rapidly, and the top of the box shifting slightly open. A faint blue light rose from within, pulsating gently. Then the feed cut off. No one knew who leaked it or how, but the internet went into chaos. Some said it was fake, others swore it was real. Scientists demanded answers. Governments stayed silent. From that day, the mystery deepened. Every few weeks, new reports emerged. Faint radio waves detected in nearby regions, strange magnetic spikes, and fishermen claiming to see unnatural lights under the sea near the island. It was as if whatever had been sealed for 228 years was now awake, slowly regaining power. Many experts believe the box could be part of an ancient machine, a reactor or generator built by a civilization far more advanced than ours. Others think it might be something alive, a sentient form of energy that can communicate through frequency. Whatever it is, one thing is clear. It was never meant to be opened. The team that first uncovered it is no longer in contact. Their research has been erased and all their devices were seized. But fragments of their recordings still circulate online. In one of the clips, the team leader's voice is heard faintly saying, "It's not treasure, it's a message." No one knows what he meant by that. Some think he discovered a translation of the symbols. Others believe he realized too late that the box wasn't meant to give, it was meant to contain. To this day, the island remains sealed off by the military. The local villagers say that on quiet nights, a deep humming can be heard coming from beneath the ground, the same rhythm as a heartbeat. Some claim that when the moon is full, a faint golden glow appears around the edges of the restricted zone, as if something below is breathing. Scientists who studied early data from the site say that the energy emitted from the box matched no known element on Earth. It had the properties of plasma, but behaved like a living organism. One researcher who spoke anonymously said, "It's as if the energy itself was conscious." Whether it was technology from an ancient world, a communication beacon from another dimension, or a divine relic beyond human understanding, no one can say. But one thing is certain. The moment that box was touched, something changed. Now, people across the world wait and wonder. Was the box truly sealed for our protection, or was it sealed to prevent something within from escaping? No one knows if the truth will ever be revealed or if the government will keep it hidden forever. But as long as that faint hum continues beneath the earth, the mystery remains alive. Perhaps the real question isn't what was found, but why it was hidden. Maybe some truths are too powerful for us to handle. Maybe what was unsealed after 228 years wasn't just a discovery, it was a warning. And somewhere in a cold underground lab, that golden box still pulses softly, its symbols glowing in the dark, waiting, as if it knows that the world above is finally listening. Weeks passed, but the world couldn't stop talking about the island. Every major network ran stories about the mysterious discovery that the government refused to acknowledge. Analysts and journalists debated endlessly about what could have been inside that chamber. A few whistleblowers from within the excavation team hinted that the object had not just emitted light, it had responded. To what, they couldn't say. But their cryptic statements only fueled public curiosity further. Then came the incident that changed everything. A small group of independent researchers, funded by private donors, managed to reach the island secretly one night. They bypassed security using boats and portable sonar equipment. Their goal wasn't to dig, it was to listen. They had built custom seismic and frequency recorders capable of detecting underground energy pulses. When they activated their equipment near the sealed chamber, the readings were unlike anything seen before. A rhythmic vibration pulsed through the island at a perfect interval of 8 seconds. It was so precise, so deliberate, that it couldn't have been natural. One of the researchers described it as a heartbeat, or a countdown. Hours later, their communication feed abruptly went offline. Local fishermen reported seeing a sudden flash of blue light over the water, followed by a strange, thunderous sound that seemed to come from beneath the sea. By morning, the research boat was found adrift, empty. The crew was gone. Only their equipment remained, still running, still recording the same rhythmic pulse that echoed through the ocean floor. When the recovered data was analyzed days later, it revealed something shocking. The frequency had changed right before the signal cut out. It had formed a pattern that, when translated through audio spectrograms, resembled a waveform spelling a single repeated phrase: "Open the second." Scientists and cryptographers were stunned. What did it mean? Was it referring to a second chamber, the one the scanners had detected 40 feet below? If so, who or what was sending that message? The government immediately tightened security around the island. Satellite surveillance increased, and patrol boats began circling the area. All independent research was banned. Yet the public fascination only grew stronger. Underground forums and conspiracy communities began decoding fragments of leaked documents. One image supposedly taken from an excavation file showed a symbol, a triangle inside a circle surrounded by 12 smaller dots. Ancient language experts pointed out that similar patterns had appeared in relics found in Egypt, Mesopotamia, and even pre-Columbian ruins in South America. How could one design appear across civilizations separated by thousands of years and oceans apart? Then came a new leak. A short audio clip surfaced online, allegedly from inside a restricted government facility. The recording lasted just 7 seconds, but what it captured was unmistakable. The same hum that had been recorded in the original chamber, followed by a faint mechanical whisper: "Awakening." The clip spread like wildfire. Within hours, millions had heard it. Sound engineers confirmed that the audio contained layered frequencies well beyond human hearing range, suggesting that the sound wasn't purely acoustic, it was transmitting data. Meanwhile, scientists around the world began detecting subtle fluctuations in the planet's magnetic field, tiny pulses that seemed to synchronize with the same interval recorded on the island. They appeared randomly, always aligning perfectly with the 8-second rhythm. Some dismissed it as coincidence. Others weren't so sure. Then, without warning, multiple power grids across nearby regions experienced short blackouts. Satellites temporarily lost connection for exactly 8 seconds. When the systems came back online, several monitoring stations reported receiving an unknown transmission on a closed communication channel, a binary sequence that repeated endlessly. When decoded, it translated to coordinates that pointed not to the island, but to a location deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, thousands of miles away. That's when people started realizing this was no isolated event. The island wasn't unique. It was part of something larger, something interconnected. Ancient ocean maps hinted at similar anomalies, magnetic distortions near uncharted seafloor structures. Suddenly, the idea that this chamber was a single containment site seemed naive. What if it was one of many? Weeks later, deep-sea exploration drones were quietly dispatched by an unknown agency to investigate the Pacific coordinates. Officially, nothing was found, but leaked footage from one of the drones showed a faint glowing structure beneath the waves, a massive circular formation made of the same gold-red metal as the island chamber. It was miles wide, and it wasn't dormant. The signal intensified. Around the world, certain people began reporting strange dreams, visions of symbols, light, and sound. Psychologists called it mass hysteria, but the timing was too perfect. The pulse that scientists had been tracking now appeared to synchronize not only with global magnetic fields, but with human brainwave frequencies during REM sleep. Something, whatever it was communicating on a level deeper than language. One of the original archaeologists who had disappeared months ago resurfaced in a remote area of Iceland.